Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Pizza Story podcast. I have Sean Jefairjian from A Slice of New York Pizza in Pittsburgh. Sean, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to be here.
Awesome. Let's get into your story. I've been following your social media for a while. I saw your Dave Portnoy pizza review, which is honestly one of my favorite ones that he's ever done.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thank you.
It's so cool. And I like that your social media, like you're like no filter, like you just say what's going on. And I really admire that a lot. And I want to hear about how you got into pizza.
Yeah, absolutely. And I appreciate the kind words. And the social media, it's not for everybody, right? So I would say if you approach it with kid gloves. But yeah, for us, I prior to COVID did not work in pizza at all. I mean, I did when I was much younger, like 25 years ago.
Mhm.
And during COVID, I got bored. And because I used to travel a lot for my previous job, I was a corporate learning and development specialist. So I would essentially travel the country training employees for the company that I worked for. And once COVID happened, the travel came to a halt. And everybody was downstairs having a good time in my house. And I was upstairs in my office not having a good time because I was still working. So I started just tinkering with pizza a little bit, and then it just started to snowball from doing pizza for my family to doing pizza for my friend in my driveway, sitting 6 feet apart, to then starting to sell pizza out of my house, which I technically sold pizza boxes
Mhm.
that just so happened to come with a pizza inside. That's how I skirted the system a little bit. And then we opened like right smack in the fall of 2020. So right smack in the middle of heavy COVID time.
Wow, that's incredible. So it was like almost during like a nationwide worldwide recession and you opened a business.
Yeah, I figured, it was a good time for takeout, and it was a good time in my life to take a risk. So, we went for it. We had another small business that my wife ran for several years that was successful, and fortunately, we got to get into the pizza business for a very low cost. So even if we did it and it completely failed, it wasn't going to ruin us, as a family. So it was worth taking the risk. And then what happened since is just nope, we didn't ever see it coming.
Yeah, you've taken it to a very successful pizzeria.
Yeah, it's been wild. We now have two in Pittsburgh. We're opening a third in Pittsburgh. We have a fourth opening in New York, and a
Wow,
fifth opening in Asbury Park, New Jersey this summer. So
that's incredible.
yeah, it's been a wild ride for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me some of the things that kind of attributed to the success.
I think being controversial for starters, like you had alluded to the social media a little bit. And we weren't always like that with the social media. And just for people to know, like a lot of what you see from us out of the social media that's really raw is all staged, and it's all like what's going to rile people up, what's going to piss people off a little bit, what's going to get people talking about it. So really what kind of got it from point A to point B was our ability to not care what people think and to be able to just kind of create this character, if you will, that says all the things everybody wants to say but doesn't say.
Yeah,
And that's kind of what got us noticed early on.
yeah.
And then from there, then like the early buzz just started to kind of trickle out and spread. And, did you hear about that crazy pizza guy in Manor, Pennsylvania? And then it spread like wildfire from there.
Yeah, yeah, no, absolutely. So then basically you guys were on this path and you've grown so fast. And then all of a sudden I see one day on the video, Dave Portnoy walks into your pizzeria.
Yeah, that was a day that will forever have changed our lives.
Tell me
Um,
about it.
yeah, it was funny too because the Saturday before Portnoy came, we got wind through social media that he was going to be in Pittsburgh, and I had a conversation with my wife about like, hey, like, do we really want to go after trying to get him? Because we did for a long time not want to really grow too big. We wanted to keep things pretty small. And so that was like the next risk was, do we push to get them? And then if we get them and do well, what is that going to do? And if we get them and do poorly, what's that going to do? Should we do this? So we both came to an agreement that like, yeah, screw it. Let's like our kids are grown, so they're like in college and graduating college and starting to do their own thing. So I was like, screw it. Let's just do it, see what happens. And again, just like the pizza shop in the beginning, if it were to fail, who cares? We'll just move on to something else. And so then I had a conversation with my father also, because my father comes from a corporate background, operations, um, different side of business than I'm from.
Yeah.
And so I had a conversation with him saying, like, hey, if we do this and we do well, everything changes for everybody, and I'm going to need you, right? Because he just retired and he's bored out of his mind. So
Hmm.
I knew I would need his expertise to do whatever was going to come after that. But yeah, so we petitioned hard. We made like a campaign video
Wow.
that went not like super viral, but it went like Pittsburgh viral.
Hmm.
And the really cool thing was the video, like when he first walked in the door, like before the cameras were rolling and things like that, he was like, I saw your video. He goes, but you were already on the list anyway. So, but I couldn't leave that up for chance, right? We
Yeah.
had to do everything we could to try to get them. And on our side of Pittsburgh, which is like the Murraysville, like the east side,
Yeah.
there's not a lot there, right? Like where I live, it's like semi-rural, so to even get him from like Allegheny Airport, where he flies in, to come out to this neck of the woods,
Yeah.
was a pretty big accomplishment. But yeah, and then everything that happened, after that, obviously we did score well, and that changed our trajectory forever. And since
Yeah.
then, which has now been about 6 months, now we've been in like a rapid growth, you know, mode, just trying to capitalize on all of it.
Yeah, you guys had one of the most unique reviews. It's literally one of my favorite ones. It's like
Ah,
one
thank
that
you.
you watch over and over. Like some of them you watch once, you're like, cool. You guys, this was just really cool and different.
Yeah, well, we wanted to make sure we gave him content,
Yeah.
which because Pittsburgh showed really well this time around compared to like the first time, but most of his reviews are like 2 to 3 minutes, and we got like almost 9 minutes.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to make sure that we were giving him ratings, and something to promote, obviously his own page, but we wanted to be able to really promote ourselves through that, but also let people see kind of a real side of me that like most people don't see, right? Because most people just see the brash,
Yeah.
internet guy. They don't really see like the family side and the small side of it. So that was my favorite part of,
Yeah.
the whole experience.
Yeah, no, I agree with you because it's definitely different than like the other social media.
Yeah. And then we try to really promote other pizza shops that are friends of ours. And
Hmm.
unfortunately, we did upset one, but in that review, but you can't please them all.
No, you can't please them all. I did notice that pizza community is like a very helpful community to one another, and that's one thing I love about it. Is like you would think there'd be a lot of competition, but I don't see that. I just see people helping each other.
Yeah. And it's weird too. So for my father, who I mentioned, I kind of brought in to help with this new venture. That's the biggest eye opening thing for him, because he comes from just such a cutthroat business world. And when he sees us like sharing recipes and he's like, "Why are you saying that?" And I'm like, because it's a more communal aspect than any other business. Like, yeah, like if Joe is next door to me, like I want to do better than Joe, right? But at the end of the day, if something breaks for Joe, I'm gonna go help Joe.
Yeah,
If Joe needs boxes, I'm going to help Joe. And it's just that way. And that's been my favorite part of being a part of the pizza community, both in Pittsburgh and nationally. I mean, I've gotten more help from people all across the country in terms of advice, just operationally ways to do things. It's been a real treat.
yeah. No, I'm with you. Like I even said to my husband, I said, doing this podcast makes me like people again.
Yeah.
Like not that I didn't really dislike people, but like it makes me really enjoy people just to see what you guys are doing and like the pizza and the creation and all the work that goes into it, the families, and it's a really cool thing to watch.
Yeah, and I think the pizza world, separate from many other businesses, that everybody that seems to go into it, at least now, there's just this level of passion
Yeah.
that is involved. And then when you surround like-minded individuals that get to geek out about their passion
Yeah.
and things like that, like it's just this explosion of enthusiasm. And it's hard to not want to be a part of that. It's
Yeah.
awesome.
No, for sure. And Pittsburgh. I mean, I grew up right outside of Pittsburgh. It's one of my favorite cities. Every time we fly in and we go there, I'm like, this is just, it's one of my favorite places to be. So, what's it like for you to do business in the city of Pittsburgh?
Yeah, I mean, I love it. I mean, as a New Yorker, like it has its challenges, right? But again, we play into that. But I've been in Pittsburgh 25 years. Most people don't know that. When they see the New York pizza guy that's only been open 5 years, they think that I came like immediately like from here. But my kids grew up here their whole lives. My wife grew up here her whole life. So I'm essentially a quasi Pittsburgher. But I love Pittsburgh. I mean, the one thing that we had here over if I stayed in New York and New Jersey is like Pittsburgh's like the real land of opportunity because when you grow up in those areas that are so ridiculously expensive to do anything,
Yeah.
to be able to be here, one of the reasons we were able to take that risk was because I found like super cheap rent that you would never find anywhere else in the country.
Yeah.
And the access to the ingredients is still great because you can get everything from the East Coast really easy. You can get the stuff from Wisconsin really easy. So it's really the perfect spot for pizza. And I think that's probably why per capita Pittsburgh has, I believe it's either the most or the second most amount of like pizza shops per capita than anywhere else in the United States.
Yeah. It's a growing city right now. It's really evolving and changing. And it's every time I go back there, it's like really awesome to see that.
Yeah, I love it.
So, let's get to the pizza. So, tell me about how you created your pizza.
Like the original or the one that we're on currently? Because we're on version like 6.4.2 and
Oh, I
like
love that.
there's so many
Yeah.
variations. But the original recipe that we started with is my really close friend Cameron from back home in New Jersey was a chef. And and he's somebody that like we lost touch, in our 30s,
Mhm.
and came together through COVID and playing video games with one another. So I had reconnected with him, and then I started just toying around with pizza, and then he kind of gave me this like starter recipe to play with, and
Mhm.
that's the one that we really started with. And then through him, I got to reconnect with. I'm not sure if you know who Dan Richer is of Ratza in New Jersey City,
Okay.
also the author of the Joy of Pizza book,
Okay.
but Cameron is like his childhood best friend. Cameron's like my teenage one of my best friends, and we all reconnected. So then having also Dan as a mentor through that as well, like through Cameron, we started to create this pizza that was just like an artisanal version of
Hmm.
a New York pizza. And so things were going great. The pizza was awesome coming out of the house. It was, we were getting great feedback. And then when we opened the pizza shop, because I had never owned a pizza shop before, I felt like we got in a little in over our heads when we started. So I started making some bad decisions.
Oh no.
And my bad decisions were all based on how to keep up with everything. But through that, the I would say the quality of our pizza suffered a little bit.
Hmm.
And then I had a friend that was like semi involved with the business, and his how do I want to put this? Like his motives were more financial based and mine were more pizza based.
Hmm.
So because that didn't align, we had to exit that person so that we can recenter and then go solely quality focused, to where like yeah, we needed to make money to like pay the rent and pay our employees and do all of those things, but we didn't want money to be the motive. So for
Yeah.
about 3 months in the beginning, I would say our pizza suffered a little, but then once we kind of recentered and went completely quality focused, then it just became an obsession of education and wanting to change things and wanting to make things better. So I would tell every new customer, like, hey, listen, if you're into consistency, we are not your pizza shop because we are going to be tinkering, we're going to be changing, we're going to be, making all of these adjustments to try to make what would be considered quantifiably perfect, which is unattainable, by the way. But
Hmm.
that's what we strive for. But also because I come from learning and development, which is very data driven, I'm a data nerd. So I'm constantly trying to make everything completely objective and take any subjectivity out of it.
Hmm.
So through that, it took about probably 3 years to get to a point where I was like, okay, now I feel like our pizza is like really good. And then, but even now we're making changes. So it's, now that we're 5 years in, I'm
Yeah, the
still not,
evolution.
I'm still not satisfied yet, but the pizza itself has just gone through so many different variants. But my son was like, and you saw it in the Portnoy review, is really like the key player behind the dough because through people like Cameron and Dan who understand science,
Hmm.
me, I'm not a science guy,
Yeah.
but my son is a science guy. So he understood the things that they were saying on like a deep intrinsic level.
Yeah.
So he was the one that was really able to take our dough from like a pretty decent dough to like an amazing like sourdough. Like
Hmm.
he's in charge of the starter, he's in charge, and now we have a third party like that's going to be making our dough, and he's teaching them, not me teaching them. He's teaching them how to make the dough, and it's been a cool journey. But yeah, right now I would say our pizza is probably the best it's ever been, but still not satisfied. There's always a better cheese. There's always a better tomato. Even though with tomatoes I'm very loyal to
Oh yeah,
Bianco
my
di
favorite.
Napoli. Yeah,
The best one.
yeah, we are. I don't think we'll ever change our tomato.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is absolutely the best sauce. I agree with you.
Yeah, and you don't have to do much to it. We just put a little bit of salt, a little bit of basil, and
Yeah, it's
let
naturally sweet. It's so nice.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. We just let the tomato do the work.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's perfect. So tell me a little bit about your menu.
I have like the world's simplest menu.
Yep.
Also, again, being a data nerd, when I started the business, the first thing that I looked at is all of the places around me that were going out of business.
Okay.
And every single food business that goes out of business all seems to have the same problem. And it's always the menu is too big.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm talking like big, big, like 30, 40 items. And I'm like, where are you even storing this stuff? And then if you have that many menu items, it can't be good. It's mostly just frozen crap,
Yeah.
thrown in a fryer and just reheated. And I was just like, that's not going to be who we are because we're so quality focused. We wanted to have three menu items
Mm-hmm.
and let all three be great. So
Yeah.
our entire menu is pizza, garlic knots, and meatballs,
Perfect.
and that's it. And
What else
then we
would you
do have
want?
yeah, I mean, and then we have desserts. We bring in Junior's cheesecake.
Hmm.
If you're familiar with the Mercurios, we're about to start using we just put in a whole gelato section in
Oh,
our pizzeria, so we're going to be using the Mercurios gelato starting in about a week and a half to 2 weeks. So, but again, all stuff that I can trace back to where it comes from. It's made local. It's here in Pittsburgh, and it's amazingly high quality. But yeah, super simple, super clean, one page menu, and that one page would probably fit on like a fourth of like a normal menu page the way they have them set up. So it's really tiny.
no, that's awesome. And what is your number one bestseller?
As far as the pizza goes, I
Sure.
mean, I I always try to push people into a plain cheese pizza, even
Yep.
though most people never listen to me. They're like, "What do you recommend?" I'm like, "Plain cheese." Oh,
Yep.
what? Um, so I would say, I mean, a pepperoni pie is probably everybody's number one bestseller, but outside of that, I would say our white pizza and our vodka pies are
Okay.
our two biggest sellers.
Those both sound really good.
Yeah, and we do them a little bit different. Like our white pie, like I feel like in this region, most white pizzas are like the olive oil, garlic, then the mozzarella, and then like sliced tomato on top. We
Yeah.
do ours like we do an Alfredo base. We use
Mm.
Caputo Brothers Creamery, Fior di Latte. We use sopra ricotta that we dollop on top, olive oil, and then a pesto swirl. So
Oh,
it's
sounds
we
amazing.
yeah, we try to really make it like a flavor bomb, but not so garlicky. Like there's garlic in it,
Yeah.
but I just feel like the regional white pie here is it's so much garlic. And
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
sometimes a little, it's just like a garlic slap in the face.
No, that makes sense. Do you have a favorite pizza?
Like of my own or in general?
Yeah, like of your own. Like I know for me, like I always get a cheese pizza. Like that's my judge of everything. Do you have one that you're like, this is the one I always get?
I'm the same. I'm plain cheese. If I'm making a pizza for myself, if I'm getting pizza from anywhere else, I'm always getting a plain cheese pizza because like I am a purist at heart.
Yeah,
And I feel like the real true judge of quality is in a plain cheese pizza because you can throw lipstick on a pig, right? I can throw a lot of fancy toppings on top of bad cheese and bad tomatoes and bad crust and make it taste good,
yeah,
right? But I feel like a plain cheese pizza, I want the bread part to stand out. I want the tomatoes to stand out, and I want the quality of the cheese to stand out. So yeah, it's always plain cheese for me.
yeah. I'm with you on that 100%. So for
Yeah.
anyone who's like your family owned business, what's the thing that you love the most about being a family owned business?
Well, I mean, it's funny because it's like sometimes it's a blessing and a curse, but the things that are like my favorite things are also the things that are the most frustrating,
Yeah,
you know? So, because as a family business, right, it's great to be with your family all day, every day.
yeah,
It's awesome. But as any family, sometimes we rub each other the wrong way and sometimes we get in little spats, and like my son's always on the oven when I'm on the prep table, and there's times me and him are like arguing a little bit, and but it's also like I remember when I was a kid and my dad dragging me to work with him, and there was times that I hated it, but then like as I got older, I appreciated it more. So I hope that he like really appreciates later on, like a little bit of the suck of today because he does work harder, I would say too, than like most 20-year-olds because he was 15 when we started this thing and he was an essential part of it from day one. So he's like a full-time student. He's a full-time employee. He's integral to the business. And again, that's the part that I love the most. But again, also well, like anybody, we have our days.
yeah. I'm with you. I grew up in a pizzeria. My grandfather opened his in 1960. He's in Wimber, PA.
Okay.
And they're still open today, but it'd be like my sister and I, like I'd be on the oven, she'd be on the prep table, we'd be arguing. My mom would
Yeah.
be at the register telling us to stop fighting.
Yes.
It's just very like, so what you love about a family owned business is you're a family.
Oh, yeah. But at the end of the day, we could all leave and like know that like we, are doing it together, and that's one thing that like I try to make sure of as we're growing is that everybody's getting taken care of, right? So like my daughter, like she goes to college down in West Virginia. She needed extra money to like pay her rent. And I was like, cool, let's get this social media pumping. And
Yeah.
then I'll give you 50% of like everything that it brings in. And it brings in more than enough to cover her bills. And which is great. But we have to post every day. We have to make sure we're semi-controversial every single day. And then my son, I'm trying to make sure we're setting him up for his future. So now that we have this third party that's going to be making our dough for us. And the
Mhm.
reason we're doing that is because like with this other franchise business that we're doing, we don't want franchisees to have to worry about making dough.
Yeah.
So they're making our recipe and then we're giving instructions, but through that we're now making our dough for sale to anybody.
Wow.
So basically any pizza shop in Pittsburgh that wants to serve sourdough but doesn't want to put in like the work of like what it takes to do
Yeah.
sourdough, they can now buy our sourdough dough balls. So for my son, like because it's his recipe, he gets a royalty on every single dough ball that is sold. So hopefully one day he doesn't have to work and he's just, getting dough ball money.
No, it's absolutely incredible. And I will tell you, even today, I still do my dad's social media for the pizza place. Like
Oh
I'm the
yeah.
one who's been doing it since they started social media. I still do it. I'll probably do it for the rest of my life.
Yeah. And it's fun and then you're still connected to it.
Yeah.
Like you're still a part of it, and that's the biggest thing that I want is like even if my kids are not in the business, I still want them to be a part of it in some way. But I also they've all worked so hard from day one to now that we just want to make sure that everybody's taken care of like in the way that they deserve to be, and that I don't want it to be like, well, dad's making all the money, and
Yeah.
like I want to make sure everybody's growing together.
Yeah, it's a true family business.
Yeah. And again, that's why I brought my dad in. My brother's going to run the Long Island location that we're opening,
Wow.
and he's like the first franchisee. Yeah,
Yeah.
so um, so he's also the test model. No pressure, no pressure for
No
him.
pressure. That's really, really cool. So what does the future look like?
Yeah, so now we're just in this growth model, but it's tough for me, right? Because this is where like I brought my dad in for this new business that we started. That's the franchise business,
Hmm.
and it's hard to picture growth as a non-money motivated individual,
Yeah.
right? Because for me, like the things that get me out of bed in the morning, it's not the dollar, right? So where my dad wants to grow this thing and my dad wants to make money.
Yeah.
So so we're which actually makes us great partners because I could just focus on pizza stuff and he could focus on all of that growth. But
Yeah.
I think his goals for growth are probably a little bit loftier than what I would say, but again, right now the iron's hot, eyes are on us. People want to be a part of our business.
Yeah.
People like what we're doing.
Yeah.
We have a huge social media following now, so it just makes sense to let it loose, and see what it. Because I really did fight growth for a really long time, like because I really just wanted it to stay like a hobby. I wanted to make like 50 pizzas a day and just
Hmm.
we live a very simple life. We're not like big flashy people,
Hmm.
and but again, we might as well just see what it can do. We just have to make sure we stay grounded through it,
Yeah.
right? And that, if it does become a massive success, which I do believe it will,
Yeah.
we just have to make sure we're staying who we are at the end of the day. But yeah, so I'd say for what the future holds is again, we by the end of this year we'll have 5 locations, and I think my dad's thinking somewhere in the 50 range within like 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
So,
incredible.
but we have the network to do it
Yeah.
because we're really close with our food purveyors. So we have everything in line already that we can grow in any area of the country and have access to the products that we need to have.
Yeah.
So that all the logistical stuff is done. So now all we got to do is find people that want to buy into who we are, and if they want to be a part of it, come along. And we just built a whole training kitchen in Murraysville,
Wow.
um, so that this way, like if somebody buys a franchise, they'll come in. We took an extra 500 square feet from our existing restaurant,
Hmm.
um, and took the spot next to us to create this training kitchen so that franchisees can come in, spend 2 weeks with me, and then
Okay.
they're ready to roll. So
That's incredible. So my dad was a high school superintendent in Murraysville, so I'm very familiar with that area.
oh, no way. Yeah, we're right on 22. We're kind of right by the Harrison City Export Road, Route 22
Hmm.
interchange there, which is, again, another location that, like, even our first location was like this obscure area. But even that end of 22, things start to get a little more spread out. So we've been very fortunate to see the success we have out of an area that is not built for that.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you guys definitely have all the pieces to the puzzle. You have a great social media, great following. The family component is like one of the strongest that I've seen. It's really, really cool.
Oh, thank you very much. Yeah, it's been a joy.
Yeah, absolutely. So how can they find you guys?
Yeah, I mean, on Instagram, we're a slice of New York pizza, but it's tricky because there's underscores
Yep.
between each word, and the reason was because there's other a slice of New Yorks, and it's funny because whenever we get trolled, people like to find the Portnoy review where there was a slice of New York in New York that got like a 2.3.
Yeah.
So trolls love to be like, "Hey, nice 2.3 from Portnoy," and I'm like, you know,
That wasn't us.
yeah. Look again. But
Yeah.
on Facebook, just if you search for a slice of New York pizzeria, you'll see it. It's got the baseball looking logo, but also on Facebook, if you just go to facebook.com/, the real New York pizza, it'll bring you right to us.
Nice.
Um, we're on TikTok. We're starting to really grow the TikTok,
Hmm.
and we're getting ready to start a pretty major TikTok ad campaigns starting next week because the US Open is in Pittsburgh.
Nice.
So we're going to do every single day. We're going to do, this is day one of trying to get PGA Tour professionals into our pizzeria
I love that. That's amazing.
until the US Open. So we'll see, and then we'll see if we get any. So follow us on TikTok as well, and then our website. But don't message me on the website ever because I don't see those. I see
Okay,
them
good.
like 6 months later. I'm like, oh man, I feel bad. This person had a question, and
Yeah, I feel like
we,
social media is the place now. You just have to DM people.
yeah, and I try to be really like transparent in like DMs and stuff on social media as well. Like I have a dude right now who's his name's Nicola. I don't even know what pizza shop he works at. I just know he's from Italy, lives in the United States, and I've been coaching him on his pizza. And he sends me pictures and I give him tips and I have him
Nice.
change things with his recipe. And so if you ever just want to like, because like I'm 24/7 for the most part. So if anybody ever just wants to DM and talk about pizza, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
Absolutely. Okay, guys, so go follow them. It's a slice of New York pizza on Instagram with underscores. They have a logo. It definitely looks like New York. It's amazing. Their pizza looks incredible. I'm going to be going there the next time I'm home. And Sean, thank you so much for being on the podcast. I really have enjoyed talking with you. I looked at your social media and my daughter books for me. So I was like, please
Oh yeah.
get them booked. I wanted you guys booked from day one. I really wanted to talk to you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for having me. It was great to talk pizza with you a little bit. And then for those of you watching, if anybody is in the New York metropolitan area, starting the first week of May, a slice of New York squared, which is our new business, will be launching in Franklin Square, right up the street from where King Umberto's is, which is a little scary because they're like the best pizza on the planet.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, follow a slice of New York squared also.
Awesome. I think you guys are going to do great. Thank you again.
Thank you so much.